Fargo Police Department recently announced the members of their new Police Oversight and Advisory Board, and Chief David Zapolsky is joining me today to talk about how that board is going to shape your policies, your policing, and a few things we're doing in the community. So welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So now the board has been in the works for a while. Since you started as chief, it kind of seemed like a project that you were really passionate about. So can you tell me, what is it about getting the community's perspective on your policing that you think is really going to be valuable?
Sure. Well, as part of our 21st century policing philosophy, inserting an advisory board, a citizen board, if you will, is kind of another piece to grow relationships and trust with the community. So much of what we do is really not well understood by the general public, and when things happen, they don't have any information to draw from. Sometimes we end up with differing conclusions, or we end up with conflicts in the street, something as simple as a traffic stop, because people have an assumption about what the law is or is not, and there's a conflict that could be eliminated, all things being equal, and assuming that our officers are handling themselves professionally, as I think they do a very good job of. And so, this board has the ability to provide community perspective, insights, suggestions about policy and practices that we may entertain to help build relationships and trust with the community. But it's also a big education piece. They'll be working with us on recruitment, community events, and we really have a solid group of advisory board members. We're very excited about getting them on board.
You really do, and you had put out a call for people to apply for the board. You had quite a few applications, and you picked 7 people. So I'm curious, what is it about those 7 people, which you can see on your screens right now, what is it about those particular individuals? What do they bring to the board that you're really hoping to get out of them?
Well, a broad range of experiences, skills. I mean, there is diversity across the board, from experience, ethnicity, sex, race, and so I mean, just a broad perspective of Fargo, which is a growing community, and there's a lot of diversity here. They've got excellent knowledge, skills, and ability. They've got education backgrounds, mental health backgrounds. They're all doing something in the community already, from teaching to working with homeless or addicted people and trying to do programming there. So, and the big thing about this group is that they're all interested in this for what we would consider to be the right reasons. They are committed to improving relationships between the public and the police, and so they were standouts, and the selection committee were unanimous in their selection, so we're pretty excited to get them trained up and get them on board.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, if anybody out there is wondering what the credentials are of these people or a little more about them, that is on your website. I had read through them, and these people are they are incredible picks. I was very impressed for all of the reasons that you mentioned. A lot of them have a lot of experiences. They're from across the country, but they're here now working in the community. I think it's going to be so great kind of to partner with the police force, and you have a fantastic group of officers. I think we all know that. Now I'm curious, how does the creation of this board in general go toward bolstering your mission of diversity and inclusion and equity through the community, but also in the police force?
Well, it's an opportunity also for members of the community who may have questions or have trust issues with the police and maybe have been involved in a contact that they don't fully understand. They can come to the board if there's a certain incident, use of force or a citizen complaint investigation that's been completed that they would like further explained. That's an opportunity to do that. And these meetings will be, just like the commission meetings, they will be broadcast. So it's a great opportunity for public viewing of what the police do and why we do it, and to kind of walk through those things. We've done this prior to the board since I've joined the department in smaller groups, because we know the value, especially with our body-worn cameras now, of walking through these situations and explaining things in a controlled environment, as opposed to maybe a more charged environment at the time of the incident, or when people maybe weren't at their best, or in some instances the officers could do things better as well, and we address that. But I just think it provides that outlet and that opportunity that we don't really have. We don't have that opportunity to provide that context and information.
And I think you have a very difficult job in which a lot of the decisions that are made day to day are made in the heat of the moment. You don't have a lot of time to think, and people just have to make the decisions based on the training and experience they have. And I love that now there's an additional, group of people who can provide kind of perspective and thoughts on that. So I'm so excited that you have this new board. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know more exciting things to come from you guys in the future, which we'll talk about. next time.
Next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up on today's show, North Dakota Elite is well known through the region as an award-winning cheer team. They're here today to tell us how their next step is on the national stage.